Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I would like to thank Dr. M.C. Patel and his team for giving me this wonderful opportunity to be amongst medico-legal experts, though I am not one. Is it necessary to know law? The prompt answer is yes. Then the question comes, why? Let us find out. There are about 10 to 15,000 medico-legal cases pending in various courts, and maximum number being on OBGY specialists, out of which 50% cases are frivolous, and in 10% there is gross negligence, and in 20 to 30% cases there is mild to moderate degree of negligence. Gone are the days when the doctors were revered and respected next to God. Aryans embodied Vaidyo Narayano Harini. The doctor-patient relationship has undergone a sea change in past few years all over the world, and India is no exception. Why this is happening? Because we doctors criticize each other. In much of the wisdom, there is much grief, and he that increased knowledge increased sorrows. Secondly, the patients are more demanding. They are enriched with superfluous knowledge gained from media and internet. And to add to this, the Amir Khan's Satyamev Jayate and Akshay Kumar's starrer Gabbar is Back have added spice to the soup. Can anyone trust a doctor who has been imagined as unethical or is told to be involved in misconduct? Misconduct means violation of regulation, human rights, adultery, issuing of false certificates, reports and other documents, advertisings, rebates and commissions, secret remedies, using patents and copyrights of others without permission. Though for these acts, the doctor's name can be erased from MCI register permanently. Things can go wrong if we do not follow the ABC of medical ethics, and also we forget the Hippocratic Oath, which reads, I will use treatment to help the sick. I will never use it to injure them or wrong them. I will not give poison to anyone. So what society expects from us doctors? We should exercise the best of our care, skill and learning while treating a patient. We should maintain competence, nurture the trust of the patient, communicate honestly, avoid conflicts of interest, and respect the rights of the patient, that means confidentiality and decision, etc. Now let us take one example. You are nurturing a cancer patient and she refuses to undergo surgery or receive chemotherapy for her. What would be your action of treatment in this case? Because we as doctors, they start treating such patients and quixotically trying to conquer death. Doctors too frequently do no good for their patients' ease, but at the same time they do harm by prolonging and even magnifying patients' disease. So there is conflict between ethical principles and medical decisions. Many a times we are also confused in disclosing the diagnosis when we are uncertain. If attendants ask us not to disclose the diagnosis, and third, when we have diagnosed stigmatizing disease like HIV, dementia, psychiatric illness. Here comes the importance of law. Now I will tell you what is the relation between two. Ethical values, they have been influenced by legal doctrine and principles, and they exceed much more than the legal duties. But law serves to demarcate the limits of individual autonomy in the interest of the society. It protects the rights of the individuals. The noblest man, if separated from law and justice, becomes the worst. And breach of ethical obligations may not necessarily be the breach of law, but it is used to prove the medical malpractice. And ethics and law, both they help to define each other. Law is a public conscience, and conscience is the guardian of individual of rules which the community has evolved for its preservation. While in practice, the various laws we need to know, the most important being Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971 and PCPNDT Act. These two acts are the most important because they have the criminal liabilities. The other acts we need to know are Indian Penal Code Act, Medical Council of India Act, Consumer Protection Act, Registration of Birth, Death, Organ Transplantation Act, Clinical Establishment Act, Labour Act, Biomedical Waste Management Act, and so on. The laws on various aspects of healthcare have been enacted from time to time to regulate the functioning of doctors, assuming that their implementation will remove the inadequacies as well as malpractices. But to err is human, and we cannot hide our negligence for too long. So, what is the best way to avoid the case in the jurisdiction or to avoid negligence? We should know the ABCD of the negligence. That means there should be awareness of negligence, and we should build strong knowledge, structure, working process and relation with colleagues. We should communicate well, document well, and the most importantly, empathetic attitude. One by one, I will be taking all these points. First of all, what does negligence mean? It means the breach of legal duty. That means failing to do what a reasonably prudent would have done in similar circumstances. It has been derived from negligere word, which means not to pick up. And 4 Ds they define negligence: duty, deficiency, direct cost, and damages. These are the various examples of gross negligence. Suppose you have treated or done surgery on a wrong patient on wrong side. Too tight of plaster has been applied on the leg of the patient, causing the gangrene of feet, or there is death of the patient on the table because of the anesthetic mishap, or blood transfusion mismatches, etc., and so on. And the best way to be powerful, that means to avoid the medico-legal cases, is educate yourself. It is very simple. How can we educate ourselves? By continuing medical education. That normally reduces the chances of error, and duty of care generally requires the provider to use updated knowledge, facilities, and judgment in the treatment. So we should also be aware of few laws which have come up in the last few years, which have changed total medical scenario, and by that these judgments, our medical practice has changed a lot. The first judgment was by Supreme Court in 1996 in India Medical Association versus VP Shanta case, where after this judgment, doctors and hospitals were allowed to be sued under CPA for any deficiency in the services. And this was the judgment after which there was a boom of medico-legal cases in medical practice. Another judgment was in 1989 in Parmanand Katara versus Union of India case, where it was decided that emergency medical care is a must and medico-legal aspects are the secondary one. So whenever patient of any accident or any victim reaches your hospital, first is to provide the first aid to the patient. This was decided by, after the decision of the committee under the chairmanship of Director General Health Services. Whenever any MLC arrives to the hospital, the medical officer on duty, after informing the name, age, sex, place of the accident and the time of accident to the duty constable, he should start giving the required treatment to the patient. And the casualty services should be enriched with sufficient number of trolleys, stretchers, wheelchairs, but in working condition. Sufficient number of observation beds, life-saving drugs, IV fluids, monitors, oxygen, lab facilities, radiological facilities, and MLC register should always be maintained in a casualty area. Good news is that burden of proof of negligence always lies with the complainant. This was decided in Jacob Matthew versus State of Punjab case, where the complainant could not provide the sufficient proof against the doctor, and the judgment went in the favor of doctor. Then comes the communication and documentation. Whenever the patient arrives to you, the doctor-patient relationship is best maintained by good communication, and 60% of the complaints are because of the poor communication. And patients who are well informed about their problem, the treatment options, for course care you are going to take up, expected outcomes of the patient and possible complications, these patients are less likely to go to the courts. And before starting any of the treatment, under Section 13 of India Contract Act 1872, the consent should be taken. Whether the patient thinks you are paper-centered or patient-oriented, you should always take the consent. And it should be informed consent. That means after explaining everything to the patient and her relatives, you should take the voluntary consent of the patient. That means there is no coercion or incentive to accept or deny the treatment, and the agreement should be preferably be in written form. This happened in this case, Samira Kohli versus Prabha Manchanda. The case was filed against the doctor because of the not taking of the consent. Though the doctor won the case, but she had to pass through the mental agony and lot of bad publication. Consent is not required in many of the cases, which will be taken up in the following lectures. Next comes the documentation. Whatever the patient tells to you, whatever you tell to the patient, it should be documented completely. Then record of tests and all previous reports of the patient should be taken care of. There should be written impression or provisional diagnosis, record of the treatment and procedures performed and recommended to the patient, and what were the patient's response by that treatment or by that procedure. You should document from time to time, and it should be, most important is, it should be in legible handwriting. If the patient, the attendants or the court asks for these documents, these should be provided within 72 hours of the asking by the patient or the court. And most important is empathetic attitude. Never forget tender loving care, TLC, because it reduces many of the conflicts. At the same time, the doctors should know that law is dynamic, it moves with time, it is constantly evolving and changing, and courts and legislatures, they respond to new issues and technologies by creating new laws. I will like to quote few of the amendments which have taken place in latest of the years are, first was in 2014 after Harish and Nikita Mehta case, where the judgment was done, followed by amendment in MTP Act, where it was allowed that abortions can be done beyond 20 weeks in special circumstances. And latest judgment by a bench headed by Justice J.S. Kehar granted a permission up to 24 weeks of MTP in a rape victim having anencephaly. Also, few more judgments are, no FIR can be filed against doctors. There was a landmark judgment by High Court Nagpur in PCPNDT case of Dr. Kalyani versus State of Maharashtra, where judgment was in the favor of doctor. Also, the latest judgment is right to motherhood, where the Supreme Court overturned the judgment of High Court and allowed a rape victim of Nari Niketan to continue her pregnancy because she has the right to be motherhood if she wants. So to conclude with, in last 20 years, Indian medical scenario has substantially matured. Judiciary is trying its best to have balance between patients and doctors' interests. And now it is the time for us, the medical organizations like FOXI, to come forward and to take the initiative further. And the funny part is, I have stopped treating all the patients now.